Hey YouTube, what's up? My name is Camilla. I make videos for the Aaron channel, and I am a transsexual YouTuber who has been making content for some time, but I recently revamped my channel about 3 or 4 months ago. So I've been focusing on transgender slash transsexual related topics. I'm going to introduce myself if you haven't seen my videos before. My name is Camilla. I'm 34, and I am an intersex woman. I have a very similar experience to most transgender people. I was born with persistent Müllerian duct syndrome. So I have a SRY gene mutation that caused me to develop a partial female reproductive system. I have a uterus and fallopian tubes. I'm actually getting a partial hysterectomy this year. I've been waiting for this for some time. I'm unable to get a gender reassignment surgery until I go through my hysterectomy procedure. Today, I'm going to be talking about the daily life of a trans person. Now, I am obviously, I'm a biological male with an intersex condition that basically was born with 2 sets of reproductive systems. My testicles never descended, so they're inside my body, and my penis never developed. So it's the same size that it was when I was a child. So I've not had the exact same experiences as transgender people, but it's very similar. And I do feel that I experience gender dysphoria, which is a feeling of incongruency from your brain and your external body. So the reasons transgender people change their sex or try to change their sex is because of gender dysphoria. It was previously known as gender identity disorder, in which people were seen as having an identity disorder. Now it's the DSM-5, the APA DSM-5, changed it to what's called gender dysphoria, and it's a nicer way of saying gender identity disorder. I don't really know if I fit into that category because I am an intersex person. I'm legally a female, so it's a little bit different than the typical trans narrative. My videos focus on basically presenting a non-woke perspective on trans topics, anything trans related. So there's a lot of transgender YouTubers that are super liberal that think that they can actually change their sex, which is physically impossible. You cannot change and deny biology. But I'm going to talk about the daily life from my experience and what I see with my friends. So hormones. Hormones are something that most trans people take on a daily basis. If you're a transgender woman and you are on the pill, you are going to be taking pills every day. Most transgender women take a medication called spironolactone. That is a diuretic that actually works as an anti-androgen. So it suppresses your body from producing testosterone. And I take that medication. My levels are very, very, very low, like untraceable. So I'm actually having to come on to a smaller dose because my body doesn't have enough testosterone to exist as a female. But if you're on the shot, then you're going to be doing your injection generally weekly, every 5 to 7 days. And always do what your doctor tells you. I'm not here to give medical information. I'm not trained to do so. Just sharing my experience and what I see. So hormones are something that we're committed to for the rest of our lives. It can be something where if you've had a bilateral orchiectomy, so you have your testicles removed, you'll no longer have to take that diuretic to suppress your androgen, your testosterone, but you will have to take an estradiol-based medication for the rest of your life. Clothing is something else that's really important because expressing ourselves with our gender dysphoria inside, we want to match inside and outside to match as best as possible. And the clothing you wear and the makeup and accessories are a huge part of transgender people's lives. So especially in your first 2 or 3 years of medical transition, you're going to be buying a whole new wardrobe. So clothing is kind of important, I think, to most trans women. Obviously, not everyone's into clothes, but it is important. And the other thing that I notice a lot of trans women, I'm going to do a demonstration, it's working on speech and body language. So when you very first start a transition, and I'm only speaking for male to female people because I wasn't born a female. So I can't talk about trans men. But what I will share is that body language is a big thing. So most trans women, when they first start their transition, typically have more male body language. Like, for instance, like a lot of people, women sit with our legs closed, and most people when they first start transitioning will sit like this. Trans women don't sit like that traditionally. It's important to keep your legs closed. That's just one example, but there are so many more that I could provide. But body language is a huge thing. Body language is something that I think takes longer than most things as far as what's required in a transition, because you literally have to relearn body language. And some people actually go to a therapist to do behavioral therapy to change the way that your body language is expressed. Work and coworkers. So when I go to work, I work in a department store and work in retail, and I also work as a clerk, and I deal with large volumes of people at both jobs. Everyone is so respectful at work for me. I don't know, I stated I'm legally a female per my license. So like everyone at work, my bosses all see me as a female, and my coworkers do too. I haven't had anyone call me sir to my face in real life, and in several years, I would say probably like 5 or 6 years. Everyone is so respectful. People that are trans complain about being misgendered. I have never really had that issue. So people, even if people know, and they do, I don't care. But they are very sweet to me about it, and I get told on a regular basis how pretty I am at work. And I'm there to make people feel good about the clothes they're buying when they come into my store. So I'm there to assist them, and if I give them good assistance, they're very polite to me. Another thing that we have to deal with is our families. So some people's families are less accepting than others. My family has been great. Like my mom and dad are extremely accepting of me and only see me as a daughter, to the point where when I did try to detransition and try to live as male, I didn't have that support because my parents only see me as a daughter. So that can be hard. I feel like I kind of got stuck in this, like I can't escape it. And I've had some cognitive dissonance in regards to my transition. And I think mental health and therapy in general is a huge part of any transsexual's life. If you're not seeking professional help, you should, because if you're transgender, you have a psychiatric illness. It's not normal. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's nothing negative. It's just it deviates from what's considered normal. And I understand that people cannot change their sex. Biology is biology. You were born what you were born. I was technically born biologically male and female due to being a hermaphrodite. And that has led me down the path in which I live my life. But with that being said, I tried to go over and share my experience because it closely aligns with most transgender people's lives, with living one gender and changing to another. What I will say is that my body naturally produces much more estrogen than most trans women because they do not have a female reproductive system. So I'm not required to take very high levels of hormone replacement therapy. My estrogen levels are actually really way too high. I just had my labs done 10 days ago, and my level, when I got them back, I saw my gynecologist, and she told me, like, your estrogen is way too high. You're producing too much naturally. So they had to change my injection dose, and I'm adjusting to that. But working with your family and getting your family and friends in general is very important. So trying to establishing rapport, I would say in early transition, is working on getting your family to acknowledge the gender at which you're trying to live. And it's very neurodivergent in its own way. It's not typical, and a lot of families don't accept their children doing this. And I completely respect and understand that. And, if my parents weren't as accepting and allowed me to do this at a very young age, I don't think that I would be the person I am today. I think parenting directly reflects into a trans person's life. And like, I have a super close relationship with my father. You would think that someone like me would have no relationship. He's like my world. So it's just like working on family relationships and friends. It's something that you're gonna do, and it's gonna take you a long time. You're gonna meet a whole new set of friends, and you're gonna retain a few friends. I almost guarantee you that. There's some people that will accept you regardless of what you do or how you dress or what medicines you take or what pronouns you call yourself. They're going to stick by your side. And those are real friends. And some people, I understand why they left my life. I know that this is weird. I don't expect people to understand this. In fact, that's the premise of why I make YouTube videos and put myself out there, is more or less to inform the public that, like, this isn't really a choice. This is something where you're cornered and it's fight or flight, and this is fighting it. This is, going into a doctor and having them fight your illness. And the best that science has to offer transgender people at this time is cross-sex hormones and gender affirmation surgeries, such as facial feminization procedures or, gender reassignment surgery, the sex change. And all of these things are just due to change your appearance. Obviously, you can never change your biology. You can change how your body biologically does things with cross-sex hormones, but overall, you can't rewrite your DNA. You are what you are, and the quicker you accept that, the easier life is going to be. I do not expect people to actually take me seriously as a woman, because not everyone is, and that's okay. I don't mind. But daily life is not much different from a regular person's. You may very much disagree with that statement, but we get up, we get dressed, we eat, we go to work, we come home, we pay our bills. It's just very much similar to a non-trans person. I do believe that extreme liberal ideologies such as radical trans advocacy has done more harm to the trans community than actually help it. When I began my transition, I started testosterone blockers 12 years ago, and I started cross-sex hormone on estrogen 11 years ago, almost 11. And with that being said, I'm trying to think how to say this. I just understand that this isn't really a typical thing, and it's not something that I would recommend. I would not recommend people doing this, because radical leftist ideology has made the community and portrayed the community as a community that actually embraces or even encourages people to use pronouns like they, them pronouns. A singular person can technically be called they, them. Like, you're on the interstate, someone cuts you off, oh, they cut me off. It's just one person in the car, but you don't know what gender they are. That's an example of how you could use they, them pronouns. But if I was to go into work and say, I don't want you to call me she or he even, I want you to call me they, them, they're gonna think you're nuts. And it's like, because it's not how we talk in the English language. It's not, you don't use that. It's not typical. And the trans community advocating for these type of things, and that's honestly very tame compared to allowing children to transition. There's a lot of things that the trans community has done, I would say in the past 10 years, that have made it more or less completely unrelatable, and it's more divided than ever. So with that being said, I hope that these videos can bring awareness and let people know that not every trans person is super liberal person about, gender stuff. I think that it should be gate kept. I think that it should be under lock and key, and they shouldn't just be handing these cross-sex hormone prescriptions out to anyone that claims they're trans. When I was going through transition, and when I started 12 years ago, back then you had to have a letter from a psychiatrist, a letter from a therapist, and present as a female for a trans woman, real life experience of 1 year living as the opposite sex before you would ever be allowed to touch a prescription. And now you can get one in 20 minutes with informed consent. there's a lot of downsides to it. But overall, if you've learned anything from this video, I thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you did enjoy it, and if you want to see more, put on notifications and you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. I upload 1 to 2 times a week, sometimes a little more or a little less depending on how busy I am at work and everything like that. So without further ado, please leave a comment and I will get back to you. Take care and have a wonderful day. Thanks again.